Hey, welcome to Holistic Health Talk. Wow, today I have a guest for you all. I don't think y'all know her. Me and Ebony have been involved in some community events. We've done some speaking engagements in the community together on holistic health, wellness, things like that. Well, you know what? Let her explain this to y'all. Hey, how you doing, Ebony?
Hey Mac, how's it going? Thank you.
Oh, it's going great, great. Why don't you give my audience a little background on yourself and, tell them just a little bit about who you are?
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, my name is Ebony. I am a San Diego native. And actually, how we met was kind of like the pivotal to a lot of these things here. As you mentioned, the speaking engagements and things like that. That was around the time I was becoming like training through physical therapy and health and wellness. That was like 2015, which was after my military service. So I am a Navy veteran,
All
in which
right.
I used to do meteorology, oceanography, and like aviation weather forecasting, things like that when I was in the military. But once, left that environment, if you will, then I started to pursue different ways that I can be of service, more in health and medical, but not necessarily like as a doctor or nurse as most people would be, but something a little bit more with lifestyle related, if you will. So I got into caregiving while I was going to school to be a physical therapist. And then from there, I kind of tapered off and got into physical training and personal training and things like that. So I studied through NASM, the National Academy of Sports Medicine, and I started just kind of pursuing the path through health and wellness, the fundamental building blocks of personal training, yoga, therapies, different like that. And then I went to a holistic wellness college, and that's where I kind of got introduced to HHP and just the full spectrum wellness, which is something that I think is so important. And I'll be talking more about that later on and some of
All
the
right.
techniques and tools that I have.
Okay, good,
So,
good. Wow. So, actually, that's a couple of things there we share. I'm a veteran, y'all know that. If y'all don't, now you do. Me and Ebony came from the United States Navy.
yes.
Okay, so holistic health practitioner. That's me. I don't have to go into my background, but just telling y'all what we share too. Also, massage therapist. I'm not
Oh,
licensed
yeah.
anymore, but I am a massage therapist. You have to already be a client of mine to get that from me. But I
Right.
think I'm gonna have to check Ebony out because I
Yeah.
need massage too.
Come on over.
And the exercise thing, well, mine was from the military a little, and then I did get into martial arts. So
Nice.
that's where my exercise went. So all right, so let's get into what you brought today for us
Okay.
and talk a little bit more about this wellness that you are into.
Okay. So basically, some of the things that I'd like to share and talk about today really kind of complete like a full spectrum checklist, if you will, when it comes to like maintaining your physical body. Like, yes, like your mindset and all those things, those are kind of foundational and like built into the practices that you need for this. But when it comes to really maintaining kind of like your mobility, your strength, flexibility, and there's a difference between mobility and flexibility. I'll talk about that when it comes to yoga and stuff like that. But
Oh,
these different practices or techniques that we kind of do day to day. But unless you're in the space of health and wellness or fitness or medical, then the subtle nuances that make a really big difference wouldn't like you wouldn't catch that on the day to day thing. So I just wanted to share some of these practices to to help people really kind of get like a full like cover all their bases when it comes to maintaining their physical health.
okay, good, great. Hey, sounds good. Hey, let's jump right into it.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to start off with some things that are kind of common to like the everyday person, or maybe if you've had injury, work related or not, but functional fitness and prehab exercises. Now, where this it's kind of experience for the normal day-to-day person would be something like physical therapy. So, excuse me. So, like the exercises and kind of the intake and the routine of physical therapy and the pace of it is basically something that you would carry over into like your exercise routine. So instead of just going into the gym and jumping straight into your exercises, really doing things like prehab exercises for different areas that may be either affected or weaker, or not being able to operate to the full capacity that you may be used to. So if you had like a back injury or a shoulder injury, knees, things like that, there's different exercises you can do to help kind of get the muscles that support that joint ready for a full-on exercise. So
Wow.
that's like prehab. And functional fitness comes really is just using proper body mechanics. So depending on your body type, everybody's familiar with squats or deadlifts or push-ups, but depending on kind of like your medical history, again, if it comes to any injuries or just kind of malalignments or anything like that, and on top of kind of your physical structure, like the length of your body and your legs and stuff, all matter when you're getting into a proper position to properly use your muscles, like pain free. And I don't mean pain free like it's not going to burn or you're not going to feel your muscle working,
Yeah.
but to the point of where it feels like you could potentially work yourself into an injury. So that's basically what functional fitness is,
Oh, wow.
lifting properly. Okay.
Okay. So it sounds like, I mean, this is stuff that I do sound like on the regular. I mean, for my audience, some of y'all may not know, I play tennis. Also, I work out at the gym and stuff. And what I do in the morning, I have this band, and because I have some injuries, unfortunately, you know, and I have neck problems, I have some problems with my hand or arm, sometime the forearm from playing tennis. So I
Mm-hmm.
had this band, and I be doing stretching exercises, stretching the band, working these muscles that will help the back, the neck, and stuff like that. And then I do these foot exercises. She was talking about physical therapy because I've had to go to a physical
Mm-hmm.
therapist, unfortunately, and they
Same.
showed me all these different exercises that I could do. So I be doing them in the morning because I play tennis like on Saturday, and
Mm-hmm.
before I do go out and play tennis, I do these foot exercises and stretching it and stretching my ankle and all this stuff. So that sounds like what Ebony's talking about. I mean, I just been doing them because I know I had injuries and I don't want to make them worse, like she's
Right.
saying.
And that's great that you do that though, because like even sometimes as practitioners, we don't like you can hear and work with or speak to practitioners like, man, I haven't had a massage in forever, or I haven't stretched in forever, and this is something that they like are constantly working
Yeah,
with people on. So it's so easy for it to fall out of practice, and that's great that you're still using it. And then even too, like for again for the common day-to-day person,
yeah,
like just to help them identify things, just like you said, you're like, wait, I am doing that. Oh, okay. So like that means that you're like, okay, you're aware that you're taking care of yourself as a professional. And then someone who may not be, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I've done that before. I'm familiar with that. Just kind of bringing that practice makes familiar type concept.
yeah.
So like, just as things kind of progress again, because with respect to everything that's going on global health wise, we got to get creative on how
Yeah.
we kind of make sure everything's working before we go out into these spaces, and really starting to invest in professional help and stuff like that,
True that. True
because it
that.
can get it can get expensive. But just like you said, get investing in things to have at home, whether it's a band, a foam roller, a yoga mat, you know what I mean, a massage gun, just building up your toolbox and starting to really pay attention to your body through using functional fitness and prehab and the other exercises and techniques I'm going to be talking about, just to see like, okay, is this something I can take care of here at home, or do I need to reach out and possibly make an appointment? But then I'm coming in with with insight. Like I'm coming in being able to talk to my doctor because they have their own language and things, and they're only going to go off of what you tell them. So if you're not sure, they're going to start with what it sounds like, which could be totally wrong.
Mm.
And that's just a waste of time.
All right. So, what else do you have for us, Ebony?
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is yoga and stretching. So they're very similar because they both aim to kind of elongate the body and stretch out the muscles, but the purpose of them and the dynamics and how you perform them are different.
Okay.
For example, I believe we have a picture. Can we take a look at an image?
Oh, okay.
So as when it comes to yoga, everyone's familiar with just kind of like the flow. You're of an active and a very dynamic practice when it comes to elongating the body. So like working to stretch your muscles into holding certain positions. So this it's like a balance of what they call in yoga sthira sukha, which means stability and ease. So you're finding like the balance of finding your strength and being grounded and strong, but also finding a ease and like a soothingness about the position that you're in.
Mm.
And of course, there's like deeper um, theories and things that goes into it, but mostly that's kind of like the physical practice of it. But when it comes to stretching, stretching is more of elongating the muscles as well as elongating the connective tissue within those muscles.
Oh,
You can experience that. I'm saying we can experience that in yoga as well, but stretching itself is really focused on that. So giving yourself time to, and then you see here in this image, although she doesn't have this back leg, like, if it was a yoga pose, the goal would be to kind of straighten out that back leg. But if this is really giving her a stretch wherever she's feeling that in her body, then that's technically a good position. That's a good stretching position, more than it would be at like a yoga pose, if that makes sense. But those are two very good practices to do, especially like after you've done exercises where you've done weight training, which we talked about in like the functional fitness and the prehabs, getting those muscles warmed up and elongated before and after you go into any heavier, more exercises that cause you to exert more force and stuff like that.
so you saying that's what
And
stretching will do
so,
for you?
say it again.
Are you saying that's what stretching will do for you
Both practices will,
to
but
get you warmed
yoga is
up?
more of an active dynamic, and stretching can be active as well, meaning like you're physically kind of holding and pushing and pulling everything and elongating, but stretching can be more passive
Yeah.
and allow you to kind of see your bout of flexibility. And this is where I was talking about the difference between flexibility and mobility, because they're active and passive as well. So
Yeah.
flexibility is active, or can you like bring yourself into a certain position? Do you have the range of motion to do that?
Mm.
Mobility means can you no, sorry, flexibility is passive. Mobility is active. Can you actively, you know, bring certain range of motions throughout your body with little to no pain, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess in martial arts we did a lot of stretching. It was crazy.
Yeah,
But I
definitely.
noticed how tight I was and unflexible in the beginning days.
Mm-hmm.
And as years went by, and I say years, I became more flexible. And it's something that we had to do almost on a daily basis, if not every other day.
Mm-hmm.
Because in martial arts, if you're not flexible enough, you can hurt yourself. And doing the kicks, we used to do these high kicks and stuff in Taekwondo. You really had to stretch. And I mean, we was stretching like all the time before we even started a class.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I noticed about that, when I used to stretch a lot, I never really had any injuries. It's, like people twist their ankle and stuff like that. My ankle was so flexible, I could like bend my ankle over a curb and it wouldn't bother me.
Hmm.
And I mean, today I'm a little flexible. I still stretch some, not like when I was in martial arts. I stretch a little still,
Hmm.
before I work out
Yeah, of course.
and afterwards. But I noticed you do this stuff a lot in a long time. You still get some benefits. So I still can do double leg stretches and different things like that. So hey,
That's good though. I mean, like it's just amazing that just like what you said, the more you practice it, the more your body is familiar with it. And even if it's like a use it or lose it type thing. Like how you were
yeah,
saying, like when it comes to doing it daily, it's because you're building that muscle memory, for lack of better terms, within your
mm,
body and creating space in your joints and within your muscles. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if you have a strong dense muscles, does it still have the capacity to stretch?
yeah,
Is kind of like the biggest thing. So making these lifestyle changes and habits and trying to find how these different practices and techniques can work for you, like which ones are you already doing, whether that's on your own or with a professional, and which ones have you been interested in trying to incorporate, and what's the best and safest way for you to start doing that without throwing everything off. Like people get excited at the beginning of the year, which is great. Like
yeah,
go do whatever. But just like you said, if your body is not ready to do some of the stuff that you may feel ready for, you could potentially hurt yourself and then set yourself back from where you already are, having to start all the way over. So like, and that's kind of like the thing is like knowing how to get through injuries,
yeah,
prevent them, and making sure that you're taking care of them afterwards as well. Because there's always like you said, a sprained ankle, though that's like one of the hardest things to kind of bounce back from and takes
mm,
the longest for you to get like 100% from.
yeah,
But it's like something so simple and silly. I don't want to say silly because it can really take you out, but it's just like making sure you're stretching, just little things. Can you reach your toes sitting down, like when you're in a chair bending over and touching your toes? It's like
mm,
no matter what age you are, you
yeah,
can always progress or regress and exercise or stretch to where you are, because there's like 70, 80 year olds who's able to do things that 20, 30 year olds aren't able to do, just
wow,
because of practice and lifestyle stuff. You know what I mean? So like
yeah,
age is all what you do with it. Like how much
yeah.
time have you
Just the
had to kind of
number,
practice?
like they say,
Exactly.
just the number.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good. So I think I'm gonna have to continue try doing my exercise regime and stretching and all of that.
Exactly. Keep going. Like keep setting an example. And like just being out there, and I'm just saying as a witness from being out there playing tennis with
Yeah,
you guys and stuff like that. Like I had to get whipped into shape a little bit because it was me being an athlete, but still like, oh wow, this is a different set of
muscle.
dynamics and skills and things like that. So it's
It is.
like learning how to learn your body so you can like, okay, how do I start, like what you were saying with the forearm things and the hands and stuff
Yeah,
like that. And then as a massage therapist, which I'm about to get into myself, it's like I have to really take care of my hands and my arms, shoulder, but like your full body, because you're when you're doing massage as a practitioner,
yeah,
you're doing an exercise throughout that full duration of it.
yeah.
Like it's basically like a yoga class.
Yeah, yeah, you got to
So
protect yourself. I know
exactly.
the days when I did it, but yeah,
Hmm.
I mean that tennis, I had everything. I had tennis elbow, I had golfer's elbow, I had I had excruciating pain in my forearms. It was crazy. And I mean, I was so jacked up, I couldn't believe it. I said, "Man, what am I doing? Why am I getting into this sport?" But then
Right.
I started going to the physical therapist, and they were showing me the exercises I need to do to turn it
Hmm.
around, and then exercises in order to keep the muscles, where they need to be as far as strength and flexibility and all that. And like I said, that's what I do in the mornings. I be working on them little exercises the physical therapist showed me and, other people to get ready for that exercise.
Right.
And to
to
keep those
prepare.
muscles
Exactly.
in condition to do those serves, those big slamming serves, they'll know like Serena and them be doing. That stuff will
Exactly.
hurt if you ain't used to
If you-
doing that racket, holding it up that high and stuff and coming down like that. It's
Exactly.
no joke.
Those ideas right there were the main focus of when I did my performance enhancement training. Because
Okay.
it's like there's athletes, there's so many exercises, but how you use them all depends. Like you can have one exercises for four different sports. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So doing different warm-ups and activations because the
Yeah.
goal is like a light switch. You have to turn it on before you use it. So you have to do the same thing with your muscles, which is why there's prehab and warm-up. People know them as warm-up exercises, which is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
But prehab is another term that we use as well, but
Oh,
it's more functional fitness and athletic based, I feel like,
so that's
because
the
that's where it's
technical.
like in the serious sciences of it. It's like you really have to, and if we can go to an image of the functional fitness, I think it's the one with the guy with the band. So you see here where they have this band like anchored onto that pole and it's on their hip. So
Yeah.
what this exercise is going to do, like if you can see CrossFit, you can see they're pretty developed guys. They're going to be lifting some heavy stuff, and it's probably going to be something with them hip driving their hips, whether that's hip thrusts, deadlifts, possibly even squats. And what they're doing here is because when you're doing those muscle isolations, getting into those higher, more power rep ranges and stuff like that, or Olympic lifting. There you go. Olympic
Okay.
lifting. What they're doing is activating their glutes. So they're getting those deep rotators, their hip flexors, glute muscles, hamstring attachments, quads, all those things there. And they're using this band to kind of reinforce, are they fully locking out that joint? Or are they fully utilizing that joint stably?
Hmm.
And for X amount of reps and sets before they get into going and lifting their 3, 5, 700 pounds of weight.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't need to be lifting that heavy to do stuff like this. If you've ever had an injury, if you're coming off of a sedentary lifestyle, like post pregnancy, post injury, whatever you've done, that's kind of taking your body out of its normal active lifestyle for some time, whether that's the stay at home, work from home.
Hmm.
Those activating exercises are really good, coupled with stretching. Will make
Wow.
sure that your muscle and the joints are ready to go and do some work.
So I should have been calling on you when I was having all that trouble then to get me back on the tennis court and all that. I'm like,
Yeah, you
man,
already know, Mac.
I didn't
You
know you
already
was
know.
into it like this.
This is my jam.
Okay.